Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a pre-Realm of Magic speed build, meaning that obviously Realm of Magic is not out yet, but I already sort of did one of these videos way before we even actually got the trailer. And now that we have the trailer, I absolutely could not resist trying to build something that is for a spellcaster or anything related to Realm of Magic. So if you don't know, Spellcaster is the official term of the new occult that is being added into the game with Realm of Magic. And I had this idea. I've been saving so many images off of Pinterest of just like fantasy, magical builds and houses and concept ideas, and I've been really enjoying bringing some of them to life in The Sims. So one of the common things that I saw amongst like magicians was the concept of a caravan. So a caravan is kind of like a house that travels. It's obviously like a little different than a trailer, although I think the modern day caravan would be a trailer. They used to look a little bit more like this, very like pop out on the top, but you still got the actual wooden structure on the bottom, and they're made to live in. So this is going to be a fully functioning house, very small, obviously, meant for probably one spellcaster, but I did manage to get a 2-sim bed in here, so maybe you could have a little bit of a spellcasting couple, for their travels on the go. And we are building at the Bluffs, and I never build here, but it has some really cool background, so I figured it would be an interesting area to build. And then there's also a lot of space here around the outside, and I did want to make it look like they had parked here for a while, and maybe they were hanging out here for quite a bit of time. So a lot of this was just about getting an interesting decoration on the outside and making it very like aesthetically pleasing. I also wanted this to double sort of as a shop and have it be a store, because I see that as like a common theme as well when it comes to caravans, that usually if they are traveling in it, they are probably also using it as their source of income, in that they will like sell things inside of it. And I've actually been in like traveling caravans that sell various items. You see them at like state fairs and things, and it's like a novelty, but it's super cool. So yeah, that was pretty much what we needed to do. We needed to make it look like it could move, that it had been here for a long time, and then obviously give it that very fantasy magical element. So it's a little cluttered on the inside, but I definitely wanted it that way. I wanted it to look very lived in, as it would obviously probably be the case for something this small. You get a little bit cramped, and then have a lot of those magical elements like collectibles and things that they could sell in general. So the other thing about a caravan is that usually there is an area on the front where the person could sit, and they used to be connected to horses, and they were drawn by horses. So there needs to be an area on the front end where you can hook up the horses and sort of command them. So there has to be like an area that's a platform followed by an archway, and then some kind of a seat to actually sit down and control the horses. I do wish we had horses in The Sims. A lot of people were kind of hoping that Realm of Magic would add some kind of horses, because it does sort of play into that fantasy element if you were to do like unicorns or a Pegasus or something like that. So a lot of people were hoping. It does not appear that that is going to be the case based off of the trailer and the box description, but the concept is still here in the build. And basically where we have the little platforms off in the front with the wheels, those are actually wheelbarrows, and you would hook up the horses to the ends of those, and they would sort of lift that front end off the ground, probably put the 2 stumps that are holding it up, they would like fold up and tuck underneath, and then it would just get pulled. So it has to be also small enough that a couple of horses could pull it, no problem. But obviously like different types of horses, you've got pulling horses, and they're more equipped for some of the heavier structures. So that's probably what you would have seen way back in the day. The concept of using wheels was a little bit difficult. I was trying to figure out what I was actually going to do. So this is obviously not the first thing I've ever built that was supposed to be a moving structure, but usually wheels tend to be a little bit difficult. So in general, one of the more recent updates to The Sims actually made it available for us to be able to do these floating houses so that I could get that lift off of the ground. And how you actually go about doing that is doing 2 rooms on top of one another and then deleting the first room and moving the second room closer to the ground, enough so that you can keep a gap between the ground so that you have that room for the wheels. But you still want to be a reasonable height for the stairs, and you don't want it to look crazy tall off of the ground. So then you have the problem of finding something for a wheel. We don't actually have a wheel in The Sims, at least not one that fits that way, that is facing that actual direction. What I will typically use is these lights that we have for the pool. They look a lot like tires, and especially if you sort of cover them up with plants and stuff, you can't really tell the difference, but they are really modern looking, and there was nothing modern about this build whatsoever. They would have been glowing. It would have looked like a caravan with like a regular monster truck tire on it. It just would not have looked great at all. So I had to figure out what I was going to use instead, and I ended up finding these wreaths that go on the wall. They are a wall sculpture, and they are definitely more organic looking and made out of like twigs of some kind, but I kind of liked that they were almost wooden looking. I felt like it played really well into the actual structure itself being like almost entirely made of wood, and almost this like handcrafted vibe. And I just like that idea altogether as sort of maybe like a magical aspect, where maybe like the spellcaster had actually created the wheels themselves out of like a bunch of different things that they had lying around. And you'll notice that as a general thing throughout the entire build is just like DIYs and handcrafted things. And that's something that I feel like goes really hand in hand with spellcasters or just magicians in general. So like I said, this is actually not my first Realm of Magic dedicated speed build. The first thing I did was a magician shop, and I love that speed build so much. It obviously uses stuff that is all currently in game, so it does not need Realm of Magic. A lot of people have asked me if I will be updating that one for Realm of Magic. I will do an update. It will probably not be in video form, so check the gallery. My origin ID is theallegedsimmer. All one word if you'd like to download that or this caravan as well. That will be on there within the next few days. So I will probably update that for Realm of Magic, and then also, of course, keep the versions that do not include Realm of Magic for those of you who are not going to be purchasing it, don't want it, or can't get it quite yet. To have both, you know, available for variety. And then when Realm of Magic comes out, I have so many things I'm going to be building. Like, it's going to be nonstop Realm of Magic fantasy builds. I'm very excited to see what the pack actually comes with. I can only imagine. This is like my pack, you guys. There are a lot of packs that have come out for The Sims so far, but if there was going to be a pack that was more up my alley than this one, it's not gonna happen. Like, this is for me. It's a gift from The Sims to me. The other pack that I probably would want is some kind of a zoo or amusement park themed pack. That's my other like big one. I don't know if we'll ever see that in the lifetime of The Sims, so needless to say, I'm very excited. I do wish this was not a game pack. I do wish that this was going to end up being a expansion pack, so we would get like that extra added element, maybe a larger world, a larger set of items, but I'm just happy to have it nonetheless. So very excited for it. If you'd like to see a bit of a breakdown on the trailer, what I actually did is I went through tons of screenshots, about 20 screenshots from the trailer that I had taken when the trailer first came out. And I sort of went through them and just looked at everything and pointed out things in the background and talked about everything that it looks like the pack could potentially be coming with, or anything that might be available with it or added to the game because of it. So it's a bit of a breakdown informational video. We also went over some of SimGuru Romeo's tweets at the end of the video just to see what questions he was answering and what info he was actually giving out about the pack. So if you want more Realm of Magic news and information, I will also link that at the end of this video with my other magical speed build. And yeah, like I said, this build is going to be available on the gallery as well. It is called Spellcaster Caravan, and it's kind of a tiny home. more than anything, but I did manage to fit a bathroom in here, and a full kitchen, and I actually had so much room in here that I didn't even know really what to do with it. So I ended up putting like a dedicated spell casting area with lots of crystals and candles and a bookshelf. And then we have this space additionally up on the top, and I didn't really know what to do with it. I ended up just making it sort of like a magical themed room. I did this concept in a different build, so I will talk about it a little bit more when we get to it at the end of the video. Yeah, but as far as the exterior goes, I didn't want to do too much with the landscaping. This is obviously supposed to be a build that you could move and put anywhere. The actual structure itself is rather small, so it is made to fit on most lots. But I did want to add some additional like organic things in the background to make it look like it made sense for somebody to stop and park here. You've got your little bit of ponds. And actually what I did is I went into debug mode and I found some of the fishing posts. So the fishing posts will actually spawn fish over into the water, so you can actually fish over there and use them the way that you would naturally if you were to find those in game. And this was almost supposed to be an off-the-grid style lot where you wouldn't really need too much else in order to survive, so I really wanted to make everything essentially here. However, it is not marked as off the grid just due to the furniture restrictions and things that wouldn't work. I didn't want to do that. If you guys would like to see a dedicated like spellcaster off the grid video, let me know, and I will definitely do that. That's one thing that I never really have done since Island Living came out and we did get the off the grid option, although I do believe it is a base game option. It came at the same time as Island Living, but it added this sort of feature where you didn't have to, there was like a select bit of furniture in order to create this sort of off the grid type of situation, and I feel like that does go kind of hand in hand with spellcasters. Like they would really keep to themselves and really some of them, you know, obviously you can play this in all different kinds and spectrums. I actually have another build that'll probably be coming out tomorrow, and it is built for, I would say, like more, it has a fantasy element, but it also has more modern spellcaster elements in mind, like maybe made for like a couple of teens that are dabbling in magic. And so that's a really fun build as well. I'm very excited to share pretty much all of these with you guys. This is totally up my alley, and a lot of you have been enjoying the fantasy type of builds long before this pack ever got announced, so this is just pretty much a continuation of that. If I can recommend another build, I would say I did a castle speed build recently. It is very, very large. I am cautious that we will actually have a lot in game that is big enough to take that in the given worlds. Like we're getting 2 new worlds with the Realm of Magic pack. So might not be able to fit the castle because it is a 64 by 64, but it has that very decadent, elegant fantasy vibe to it. And I've actually been building in Windenburg with all of these speed builds, and they're all off on that island in the bottom left by themselves. So when you look around, you can kind of see in the background, I sort of have the different fantasy builds all clustered together, and they really, really work and look super nice together. They're all sort of themed, and I have the same ideas in mind when I'm building them, so they look nice together. But I am going to try and branch out and do some different types, some variations. You might get more castles. It all kind of depends on what you guys want to see, so definitely let me know if there's something specifically you would like me to build for Realm of Magic, especially when it comes out. I will definitely throw you on my list of ideas. So just comment down below. Let me know what you guys are thinking about. What do you need? What do you need for your gameplay? I will make it happen for you. I am not a game player, so we all know this. I say that all the time, but I just have to reiterate that every once in a while. So I build everything for fun and basically for you guys, which is why I'm huge on recommendations. I love them, and it makes me happy when somebody enjoys like something that I directly made like for them or per their recommendation. So definitely always let me know, and hopefully at some point we can get pretty much everything knocked out for whatever you guys are interested in. So yeah, this is actually like the dedicated little spellcasting area. I wanted to use some of the debug art, but it's a little bit too modern looking. All of the frames that come around them are black. That was driving me crazy. That looks too clean and modern to me, so I was really hesitant in using them. I wanted to cover them in sort of like more of a rustic brown old school frame, and I do wish there was a way you could reframe them. Maybe there is on the gallery that I'm not aware of, but I really wasn't too happy. But some of the best, most interesting sort of whimsical, magical art is in debug mode. So I think I do end up just kind of suffering and using them. But luckily, yeah, we do have a fair amount of magical themed items in game. A lot of them you do have to go into debug mode to actually find. This is when spooky stuff is actually going to come in handy for once. Obviously around Halloween time, and when it gets closer to autumn, you know, I do get more into my spooky stuff pack. I'm just not a big fan of the pack, given the fact that a lot of the items that originally came with spooky stuff have been repurposed into other packs by now. So there's not too much about it that I recommend, especially given the size of the pack. But one item that I've been using very consistently from spooky stuff is that cauldron. And it doesn't appear, based off of the trailer, that we are going to get a traditional small cauldron like that in the new pack. So that is a little bit of a bummer because they do really work well together. The new cauldrons appear to be very large. So, but obviously this little one is also non-functional. It's totally decorative, so it doesn't really matter, whereas the new ones are going to function as potion making stations. Oh, that was another thing that I was able to include in this build. I had so much room, you guys, because I really did want that very cluttered in collectibles, sort of mismatched furniture vibe, and I had some extra room, so I put in an entire potion making station, and we're going to do it on the wall opposing the living room. For a little while there, you can tell I'm really unsure about where I'm going to be putting everything. I've got the living room area on sort of this diagonal, and we've got quite a few chairs going on in there, but it just felt so open and sort of uncohesive at the same time, so I was really struggling with how I was going to make everything sort of flow naturally and feel as though, like, if you actually own the space, how would you decorate it type of a deal. And then you've also got the archway that is sort of in the way, and that is probably the area where they would climb up and then sit out onto the edge of the caravan to direct it, but obviously that's not something we can use in game, really. So it's kind of just in the way. I'm sort of blocking it off with two wall decorations that also function as lights, which makes them a little bit modern and definitely not what I wanted, but they totally take up the space really well. They cover really well. I've actually raised up the archway in order to create sort of a larger archway, but it actually gaps at the bottom. You can probably see the holes, or if you were to remove it, you would know that there is a hole down there, but you don't have the sort of posts on the side of the actual archway to cover it up. So it doesn't look great. You always have to kind of cover up the bottom like that, and I wasn't super in love with it, but at the same time, I knew I wanted to have that actual area available as the station where you would like drive and everything. So it's there. It looks okay. Obviously, there were a couple of more items that would have been a little bit helpful. And then, yeah, so originally this opposing wall from the living room was going to be a dining area, but I was having a hard time cluttering up the walls with things that felt, again, cohesive and things that I felt like fit really well into this build. And then we had a lot of dead space right in front of the kitchen, and I really didn't know what I was going to put there, but I knew I didn't want it to be empty, so eventually we're going to move the entire dining area into the center of this place, and you would sort of walk into it when you first came in, but I feel like it's closer to the kitchen. It makes a little bit more sense, and I did close it off a little bit more to give myself some more wall space, and also provide a second door where you would go through the archway and then you would go through the other door additionally, so that you do have the privacy element. It's not completely exposed. And yeah, I tried to rearrange the kitchen. I tried to add a few more counters. None of it really looked that great, and I wasn't sure what to do about the middle of this place being completely empty. So it just made sense to eventually move the dining area there. and have it all sort of closed off a little bit more. And then I thought about extending the living room and taking that whole space up. Normally I would have used that wall for a TV, but I didn't want to put a TV in here. It felt like too modern, maybe something that like spellcasters, traditional ones, are not interested in. So this is where the idea for the potions mixing station came into play. So we've got a lot of like silverware and pots and pans above as things that can help assist in the potion making. And then one of my favorite items in game, this is so weird, but we have all of these potions that are already available, and they are for the science kit, but they're so pretty. They come in so many different colors, so I thought it would be perfect to just cover the counters and all of them and sort of have them there as ingredients that are available for your spellcaster. Obviously, this is all kind of make pretend. We will not be able to use any of that stuff, especially with that cauldron. Although, based off of the trailers of Realm of Magic, it does appear that we are getting some new potions that are basically identical to those ones, but they are a little more functional in that it looks like you can use them as sort of decoration. I don't know if they will be debug. Obviously, we will know better when the pack comes out. And they had a lot of like smoke and symbols coming out of them. They were animated in the trailer, so that's really, really exciting. One thing you guys probably didn't get to see, or I didn't talk too much about, was the bathroom decoration. It is very, very standard, a little bit old school, if anything. And then the final area down here was just figuring out how am I going to close off this bedroom, give it its own sort of little nook, and still keep it cohesive with everything else. I wasn't really sure about that bed. The wood tones in this is why I never use wood tones. Wood tones are so hard. They're all over the place. You've got like the lighter wood with the actual wall. You've got the lighter wood cabinets from the kitchen. And then Cats and Dogs has its own swatch of light colored wood that doesn't match anything. And then Seasons has its own swatch of light colored wood that doesn't match anything. So when you throw them all together, it can be a little bit much. But I feel like for this type of a build where it's supposed to be very collector-y and a little bit uncohesive and clustered, this probably works out a lot better than it would for maybe any other type of build. It was bothering me that the bookshelf and the bed frame were not the same tone of wood. That was annoying. But last but not least, we are going to go upstairs and just do a very quick decoration. So again, I've done this idea before. I actually did it in my Scooby-Doo Mansion speed build way back last Halloween, and that was a great one. I love that speed build still to this day. It actually included a mystery machine and then the whole castle, and the castle was very interesting and fun to decorate. So one of the things I did in there was a spell casting or like creepy room, and I created a star pentagram on the ground with candles. So that was supposed to be like a creepy element to it. So I kind of carried something similar over in this when I did the circle of candles and then sort of the flowers and the mounted book in the center to cast spells. And then some of our more interesting paintings, some books additionally, and some more collectibles or anything that felt like it fit really well into the spellcaster vibe in general. I'm really excited that they chose that as the name. I like that. I was hoping for magician or something on that variation. I really didn't want like witches and wizards. I know it's got that very Harry Potter vibe, but they've done that before. And a lot of people were requesting witches, and I don't really love that. So I am excited they've decided to go more down like a different route. It's very like spellcaster, magician, like it all works really well together, obviously, but I'm happy with the name. I think it's awesome. If you didn't already know, it is actually not going to be like a skill. It is a given occult. So you're going to have to go into Create a Sim and create your spellcaster that way. And then there will obviously be a way to turn normal human sims into spellcasters by learning certain skills or leveling up and then like officially becoming the occult state that way. So I can't wait to see the new worlds. That is the big thing for me. I can't wait to see the lot sizes and shapes, and I am very excited to build for you guys. So that is pretty much going to round out the video today. Again, let me know what you would like to see in regards to Realm of Magic, and thank you guys all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that little bell icon below to turn on post notifications so you can get updated every single time I post, and I will talk to you all in the next one.